Hey, Joe, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, tonight we are discussing a tragic event known as the Hillsville Massacre. In 1912, Floyd Allen, the patriarch of a prominent Virginia family, was sentenced to 1 year in prison for the assault of a sheriff's deputy. But before he could be led away, the courtroom erupted in gunfire, leaving 5 dead and 7 wounded. Tonight, we are going to cover the rowdy history of the Allen clan, as well as the chain of events that led to the courtroom shootout.
Quiet your mind. Ever since the earth has circled the sun, there have been fantastic tales of wonder and mystery that the faint of heart dare not discuss. But 3 brave, uninformed souls have the brass to tackle every extraordinary happenstance, from the modern age to the dawn of Mantis.
Welcome to Dawn of Mantis, true crime, mysteries, and more. I'm Ivan with Joe and Sam. How are you guys doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Doing good.
So we've got some of my favorite types of cases, the older ones, because I feel like we can say kind of what we want and no relative will like, and I've said this a lot of times, like, no, hey, wait a second. That's my uncle you're talking about.
Yeah, this was, 120-something years ago? So
That's my ancestor I found on
110.
Ancestry.com you're talking about. It didn't have the same ring, right?
No, we're out of the too soon territory.
Too soon. When is too soon? I don't even know. This sounds like a fun one, even though there's bullets and mayhem and murder. But you know what? That's fun in a way, especially when it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, this is a long time ago, so, we can make fun of it.
Rest in peace. But now we're going to talk and have fun.
Well, before we even get into the players, because this is a crazy story,
Sure.
but first I want to set the scene that contributed to the massacre.
All right, let's do it. Let's go there.
All right, the place, Carroll County, Virginia. The time, early 1900s. Okay, we're setting it.
I hear the typewriter at the beginning of Joe Friday.
Oh, yeah. The time, yeah. The place.
Wasn't there a typewriter in that?
I thought there was in the intro.
Or am I thinking of People's Court? I don't know. I get those two shows confused. Nothing.
Judge Wapner. Ever since long before the Civil War, this area had been occupied and governed by Democrats.
Okay.
Back then, the Democratic Party was quite different than it is today. And we're not going to get political. I'm just going to tell some facts about the state of the Democratic Party at that time, and we're going to move on.
The old Southern Democrat.
Yeah, it was a very different party. We don't get political, whatever.
Yeah.
Back then, they were the pro-slavery party and had despised Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation, which, that led to the freeing of the slaves. Nobody in Carroll County was more hardcore Democrat than the Allen family, who were also one of, if not the most prominent family in the area. The Allens had occupied Carroll County since the American Revolution, and true to their Democrat roots. They were also very influential in the region and used that influence to bulk against the opposing party at every chance. They loathed the Republicans. They hated them. Unfortunately for them, Carroll County had slowly turned completely Republican since the Civil War, and by the early 1900s, the area was majority-ruled Republican, a huge source of contention for the Allen family.
Yeah.
The patriarch of the family had been Jeremiah Allen, a Civil War vet born in 1818. Now, he was a landowner and a farmer and an office holder, and he was held in high regard. He and his wife produced 10 children, which I think was pretty normal for that time.
Yeah, it's probably kind of light.
So yeah, out of those 10, okay, there were 3 girls and 7 boys, one of which was named Floyd. That's the main character, all right?
Okay.
Floyd took over as patriarch of the Allen clan after his father's passing and is also the star player in our story today. So let's get to know Floyd a little. Floyd was born in July of 1856, July 5th, obviously in Carroll County, Virginia. He spent most of his life in the tiny community of Cana. I was going to look it up before this podcast. It's C-A-N-A, so it's either Cana or Cana. Cana sounds stupid, so I think it's Cana.
Okay.
Which sits between Virginia's southern border and Fancy Gap Mountain. Everyone there's rather fancy.
Fancy Gap
Fancy
Mountain?
Gap. As we stated earlier, the Allens were a very prosperous, influential family of proud Southern Democrats. They owned large swaths of land in the region and also operated a popular general store. Allen and his brother Sid, well, it said Sidna most of the time, but then I just don't want to say that, so I'm going to shorten it to Sid.
Yeah.
They were also moonshiners, which proved to be a very lucrative business.
Yeah.
Moonshining.
It's 2 episodes in a row we're talking about the illegal
Dang right.
devil's juice.
Illegal hooch.
Yep.
And old Mountain Dew.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't they have that in
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
White Lightning. My grandpa used to sing that. He used to play and sing that all the time. When I was a kid, I loved it. I didn't know anything about what White Lightning was.
You're
but I
thinking
thought it was the coolest song ever.
You're thinking about White Lightning, and I'm thinking about Chug-a-lug, Chug-a-lug.
Oh,
Make
yeah,
fun,
2
say
different songs.
Howdy-ho, burns your tummy,
I think he did that one, too.
Yeah, I think so.
Of course, he was a raging alcoholic.
Of course.
Yeah.
George
So that
Jones.
makes so no, my grandfather. Rest in peace. He actually was.
You've told me stories about your granddaddy.
Yeah, beer could not get him drunk.
Wow.
Yeah,
it had to
that's
be the
how-
hard stuff?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah, he built a tolerance.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about your granddad.
Yeah.
Is he the one that, like, when he was younger, his wife and all the kids would have to track him down wherever
Yep.
bar he was sitting in,
Yep.
get a few bucks for food?
Yep.
Phew.
When he was a real young man, him and 2 guys were in a vehicle, and it was always that the other guy was driving, but they killed the 3rd guy
What?
in the truck. They got in a
Really?
really bad wreck. But as years went on, I started picking up bits and pieces of the story, and I was like, there's no way he wasn't driving, because he was always like the leader of the group.
Oh, okay.
Like, and he always had like people under him.
So you think he was driving, and when the accident happened, he had someone take the fall?
Yes.
Wow.
But I don't know that for a fact,
Yeah.
but I think that. Yeah.
All right.
But it's all circumstantial, so maybe not. You know, rest in peace. I'm sorry, grandfather. But
Your old granddaddy sounded like he was a hard ass. He was
yeah,
kind of a...
yeah. There's a lot more shady stuff that I won't just spew fire on the podcast about him. I know you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but a fact's a fact. And if you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, what are we doing in this podcast?
Right. That doesn't apply to everybody. Yeah, you know, if you're Ted Bundy, you can speak ill of that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He killed a lot of
Show some
people.
respect.
You can speak ill of several people.
Yeah.
Hitler?
Hey, why are you talking bad about Hitler?
You can't say nothing bad about him. He's dead.
He's not here to defend himself. Well, there's the whole Nuremberg trials. Of course, he wasn't there to defend himself either.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of evidence.
Yeah, you can speak ill of the dead.
Yes.
Yeah, you can, depending on what they did in their life.
That's right. There we go. We finished it. I finished the quote.
Although the Allens were a wealthy, prominent family with political ties, they also had a pretty rowdy reputation. They were always feuding, fighting, moonshining, and breaking the law. Allen was no stranger to violence. He was vindictive, brutal, and had a hair-trigger temper, and an insanely fragile ego. He had more than once came to blows with revenue officers over his moonshining operations. Another time, Allen even got into a violent altercation with his own brother over a barrel of brandy. The argument escalated until pistols were drawn on both sides. After a few tense moments, each man shot at each other, and each were wounded, although not seriously.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, the altercation with the moonshiner, the moonshining operations, so federal agents had shown up to his still that was hidden inside, I think it was hidden inside a big covered wagon. And he had showed him a search warrant. And as the quote goes, and this is not on the notes, this is by memory, I'm pretty sure Floyd Allen said that their warrant gives you a right to go in that cabin. Doesn't say nothing about you making it out.
Wow.
So I think the revenue officer was just like, I'm going to head on out. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's implied, though, sir. I mean, I don't think that piece of paper doesn't say you have to be alive. Come on. I mean, it's kind of a cool quote, though, but
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, Allen was also charged with shooting a man in North Carolina for supposedly trespassing on his property. He even got into an altercation with a police officer in Mount Airy. That's a little bit larger town 8 miles south of Cana. In that instance, Floyd whipped the cop's ass, but somehow avoided any repercussions.
Yeah.
In May of 1889, Garland and Sid Allen, 2 of Floyd's brothers, were arrested and tried for an armed assault they'd committed on a group of 13 men.
I thought you were going to say 13-year-olds.
That's exactly what I thought too. No lie.
Damn, y'all.
I know. It was just the inflection, I guess.
Yeah.
13-year-olds.
Yeah.
Listen here, ain't a 13-year-old in this county don't shake in his boots when he hears my name.
Give me your bicycle or else.
You playing jacks in the alley? Give me them jacks.
That's what they were using for moonshine runners.
But in all honesty, the two of them got charged for assaulting 13 men.
Well, yeah, I see why you said that.
How's that happen?
It shows the toughness.
God dang, boy. That's like 6.5 guys per man they took out. That's crazy. Really, man? They are tough. They were tough.
It's 6.5. On this last one, you hit them low, I hit them high. We'll both get half credit.
6 full-grown men and a 13-year-old is what.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what they each took out.
That one guy was short. He was only half a man.
I'm half the man I used to be.
Probably whoever was the toughest guy, that's who they went after first, right?
Yeah.
And then I just think of like the old movies to where even the Marvel movies, like where you have like 2 of the Avengers fighting like 13 people, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, or what is the Jackie Chan and the Chris, I almost said Rock. But
Tucker?
Tucker, yeah.
Rush Hour?
Rush Hour, where they do the thing where the guys are in a circle and they do the thing where they flip off each other's backs.
Yeah.
That was some cool, bull crap, but that was some cool choreography.
That's cool crap.
Cool crap. It was cool crap.
In a lot of those movies, you ever notice when one guy is taking on multiple guys, like a guy will come up and he'll just kick him off with his leg. But for some reason, that guy's just no longer in the fight. He just falls over from being pushed off, which is not anything that would take him out of the fight, but he's just out of the fight now.
Yeah, I always want to say, like, you should all attack at once, maybe? Like, you'll see another guy, like, kind of standing there with his fists, and he'll kind of wait. I'm going to wait my turn. Well, that's how 13 of you guys are getting beat up by 2 guys. You're waiting your turn. Your turn is now.
Yeah.
Everyone's turn is the same time.
Let's do it now.
This isn't a carnival ride. Come on, man. Go in and just punch.
Yeah.
That's my advice to the mob of 13.
That reminds me of a story my dad told me, which my granddad, he was born in 1918.
Yeah.
It was a different time back then.
Sure.
So this would have been in the late 20s, because he was about that age, right? Late 20s, early 30s. There was a group of boys picking on him.
Yeah.
They followed him home from school, and his dad, whose name was Andrew Jackson Hall, Andrew Jackson Hall was my great-grandfather's name. He marched my dad back out. This is the story for my dad. Them boys, I think there were 4 or 5 of them, were still out there, and he said, y'all little bastards line up, and my boy's going to take you on one by one.
Oh.
And he made my dad fight them boys. First one come up, fight. My dad said he got through about 2 or 3 of them before he was just like, he couldn't do anymore. And the dad made everybody scatter. But he was a hard ass old man.
You know what I like about that story? It's real. It sounds super realistic. Like, yeah, you get tuckered out pretty fast.
Yeah. And my dad, in his youth, by the time he was a teenager, he was like as big as you guys. He was like 6'4", He was a big old boy. I don't know how big he was at this time, but he was always tough.
Yeah.
And he made it through 2 or 3 of them, which is, I probably couldn't have made it through the first one,
Yeah.
But it was a different time when it was just, it was like you caught your son smoking a cigarette, you made him smoke the whole pack until he barfed. Like everything was just rougher back then.
Yeah.
If there's someone picking on you, you march them out there and you beat the shit out of each other until, y'all are done and shake hands. It was just a different time.
Yeah.
There were no safe spaces and, all this different stuff. And I'm not saying it was a better time because of that.
No, it's just
It was a different time.
Yeah.
I will guarantee you that time produced harder men than the current times.
Yeah, because now you'd have to fight 5 or 6 of them, and also their emotional support animal. You'd have to take them all on. And what if it's like a Doberman or something?
I figured now it'd be like, who's picking on you? Now let's circle around. Let's like that hippie off of Beavis and Butthead, the guy that played the guitar.
Yeah.
Let's circle around and let's all agree on a dialogue that we can start, and let's all agree on some trigger words that we want to avoid. And before we start that, we'll get this, it was like, that's what would happen now. Back then it was just like, beat the shit out of each other until enough blood and teeth have scattered the ground that everybody's just tired and wants to go home.
Yeah, you're right. Different times for sure.
4 months later, after this whole hard scrabble deal with the 2 Floyd brothers against the 13 guys, the Carroll County Court indicted Floyd for assault as well, although those charges were dropped by the end of the year. And he had money. That's the thing.
Sure.
He had money.
Yeah.
His brothers did not get off quite so easily, though. They received a fine of $5 each.
Whoa.
That's $175 today.
Wow.
Which was still pocket change to them. Judge Robert C. Jackson, who'd preceded Judge Thornton Massey in Carroll County, said, quote, Floyd Allen was perhaps the worst man of the Klan, overbearing, vindictive, high-tempered, brutal, with no respect for law and little or no regard for human life.
Tell me what you really think about me.
During my term of office, Floyd Allen was several times charged with violations of law. In several instances, he escaped indictment. I am satisfied because the witnesses were afraid to testify to the facts before the grand jury. He was sort of a low-key Ken McElroy.
Okay.
In that county, in Carroll County. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the diehard listeners.
There you go, yeah. And
or just someone that's heard about that case.
His attorney was always like, isn't it possible that my client was not present at the aforementioned... Yeah.
But it wasn't him because they're like, isn't it probable? It's like an always save version.
Gene McFadden.
Yeah, exactly.
Rest in peace. So, this was absolutely true, all these things about Floyd, of course. And another example is when Floyd was charged with assault yet again in 1904. As the story goes, one of the Allen brothers was selling their farm, and Floyd wanted to buy it, okay? But he was cheap. He didn't want to pay the asking price. The two could not come to an agreement, him and his brother. They argued for weeks about, I want to buy your farm. I'm not going to pay that price. In the meantime, a neighbor of Floyd's, this guy named Noah Combs, he slips in and says, hey, I'll buy it for asking price.
Oh,
Right?
that's not good.
Floyd hears about this and said, butt out, mind your own business.
How dare you buy it for what he wants for it? You scoundrel.
That's pretty much what he said.
Yeah.
This is a family thing. You back out. Well, guess what? On the side, on the back, Noah met the guy and said, I'll buy it for full price. And he did. He bought the land right out from under Floyd Allen.
Wow.
So, like you do, Floyd shot him.
How dare you pay the full Zillow asking price?
Yeah, he shot him. He
Wow.
just was like, I told you not to butt in, and he shot him. He didn't die. Noah didn't die, but Floyd was arrested for assault, although he was never charged
Wow.
for attempted murder for
Wow.
shooting people, anyone, him, including anyone else. Yeah.
He must have had a Gene McFadden.
Yeah, he probably did. He was put on trial, and he was hit pretty hard for shooting somebody, guys. He was sentenced to 1 hour in jail and a $100 fine.
So, thank goodness for people that won't do their job, because a lot of these episodes we wouldn't have.
Right.
Seriously, there's a lot of people that just won't do their jobs throughout history, and therefore it's a good true crime case. Too bad for the victims, though.
Yeah, the Ken McElroy story could have ended like 8 years sooner.
Exactly.
Actually, like 20 years sooner.
I think I had that same rant, so I apologize, because someone's listening. It's like, okay, we heard that.
No, it's fine, yeah.
But it's still true.
Yeah. I mean, and same with Floyd Allen. Like the first person he shot, he should have just went to jail for attempted murder forever. And that was the end of the story.
I mean, for at least a while.
Yeah.
I get it. They're probably intimidated as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. By his next court appearance, Floyd produced an order of clemency from Governor Andrew Montague, suspending the jail sentence. So he never went.
And there's that thing that drives me crazy. Get rid of these stupid pardons. It doesn't need to exist at any level. I've said that before. It's so stupid. We pay all these police officers to investigate these cases, and you pay court fines and judges to wear a robe, and they have a little gavel thing, and they find these people guilty, and then one asshole can be like, you're innocent. Psych. Yeah.
Not really, though.
That doesn't need to exist, and that's the stupidest thing ever. I don't know why it exists. And I know sometimes they write, and it's probably a valid thing. It's like, well, this person was tried unlawfully or whatever, but I understand that. But there needs to be a process, not one person.
Right.
Drives me crazy. We can't have a country as long as we have that. That's why we have so many problems, I think, because we have a lot of stupid little things like that. And people look around and be like, well, the whole system's messed up because some asshole can sign someone free.
This pardon was probably because of money.
Money or fear.
Money or fear. Yeah.
But it's all stupid.
I agree. Well, in yet another incident, Floyd got into an argument with his brother Jack over their father's estate. So Jeremiah had recently passed away.
It's always a state thing.
It quickly escalated and both men drew their pistols and began firing at each other. Again.
Pew, pew.
In the exchange, a bullet grazed Jack's scalp. That's the brother. But he was not seriously injured. Floyd, on the other hand, had been shot in the chest and was bleeding profusely.
I was gonna say, did these guys like go train with the stormtroopers?
Speaking of pew, pew.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's right, yeah.
So we got Floyd's brother, Jack, barely grazed a bullet on his head. Floyd has a potentially life-threatening wound in his chest. But guess what? Floyd is so goddamn mean, he jumped on his brother and almost beat him to death with his empty pistol.
Wow.
He pistol whipped him. Floyd was still mean enough, even though he was bleeding to death, to beat the shit out of his brother.
He hadn't got the memo that he was shot. When you said graze his scalp, I think of the Three Stooges. It was always that thing was like,
oh yeah,
and
down in the middle.
Tap their head and it was like smoking.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Well, for this, Floyd, again, was fined $100. He didn't die, obviously. He got medical help. He was fined $100 and sentenced to 1 hour in jail.
Wait.
A whole hour.
Why would that be a sentence? 1 hour?
Didn't that happen already?
Yeah,
though?
he got that before. You are commenced to be booked into the Carroll County Jail at 3 p.m. on this day, and you will be released at 4 p.m. on the same day.
And I'm a stern judge, so not a minute sooner. Stupidest thing ever.
Can I receive a conjugal visit half hour in? It's like, sir, we believe you can go 1 full hour without sexual contact, please.
I see some lawyer. Your Honor, that sentence is frivolous. He should get 45 minutes.
After tense negotiations, we have reached a term of 5 minutes in prison.
I'm an ex-con. I served an hour in jail. I can't get a job now.
I'm an institutional man now, Andy. How long you been in here? 1 hour.
These walls do funny things to you in an hour. First you hate them, then you depend on them.
My first 5 minutes, I was tense, scared. Then minute 25 came along and I began to reach acceptance. By minute 50, I was institutionalized. I don't know how to make it on the outside anymore.
The last 10 minutes, I was the guy that could get stuff for you.
I have access to Amazon. I smuggled in a burner phone in my booty hole. And I can get you anything you need.
Started tunneling out, didn't make it very far.
No, it gives
Hey, you're up. Oh, just started on my tunnel.
behind this Billie Eilish poster.
It's so dumb, it's funny. All of it.
You're in there for an hour. You start tunneling out.
My glasses are fogging up. I'm laughing. I've never had that happen before.
You do realize you're going to be released in an hour, right?
What
Why
if they
you started tunneling?
I didn't know meta glasses could fog up.
I didn't think they could either. I guess they're definitely transitioning where I can't see.
Okay.
That'd be funny if the video was hazed over.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Are we
We'll
ready?
check it in a minute. Yeah.
Okay. So for this, Floyd was fined $100.
Wait, you can't. There's no telling when he's going to cut it. So you
I hope you don't cut that
compose
out.
yourself.
You need to start over just for context.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, Allen, who had nearly died from that bullet to the chest, simply refused to go to jail. He said, and I quote, "I will never spend 1 minute in jail as long as blood flows through these veins." So Floyd Allen was such a hard ass.
So he was only getting an hour, and he was like, "I'm not going to serve.
Right,
I will
yeah.
never do it."
Yeah, just even an hour. He was like, "Nope, not gonna do it."
So you can just say no.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
I didn't know you could do that. No.
Think about all these millions of people that have been locked up. They just had to say no.
Mr. Ted Bundy, you are sentenced to spend time in jail for the rest of your natural life until you are executed. Yeah. And he's like, nah, I don't agree with that.
Sorry.
Mr.
I still
Dahmer,
have my rights.
Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer, you are sentenced to jail for the rest of your natural life. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm going to head back to Milwaukee.
Well, if he was going to get an hour, Ted Bundy should have got like 4 hours. Or 6 maybe, or maybe 24 hours.
6 whole hours?
He gets the drunk tank sentence.
So Floyd Allen was such a hard-ass, quick-tempered, fist-fighting, gunslinging rabble-rouser that by the time our story happened up to this point, he had 13 scars from 13 gunshot wounds, nearly half of which he'd received from his own family.
Yeah.
A friend of Floyd's once said he was, quote, just too damn mean to die. Didn't that sound cool?
Yeah, I guess.
But despite Floyd's wild reputation, he was active in local politics. And unbelievably, from time to time, he even worked in law enforcement.
Wow.
Yeah. When the situation called for it, our boy Floyd was deputized to help uphold the law in Carroll County.
Wow.
In 1908, while Floyd and a relative named Henry Allen were operating as deputies, they assaulted some prisoners they were currently holding in custody, claiming they had resisted arrest.
But they were in custody.
You know, let's not pick at it. Let's just not think about it too deeply.
That's true. Obviously they're crap.
But they're
deputies.
already in custody.
Yeah.
But maybe they got a little mouthy once they were in custody.
That's true.
And you just smack in the mouth.
Just do your hour and go home.
The Allens were charged with unlawful assault on February 1st. They were sentenced to 10 full days in jail.
Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Attempted murder gets you an hour, but that gets you 10 days?
240 hours. Yeah.
Man.
And a fine of $10 each. However, they immediately petitioned for executive clemency, and within a month, Governor Claude A. Swanson had the charges dropped and restored the Allens' political rights to hold office.
There we go. It's amazing how much power one person has.
It is, man. In 1910, Floyd's brother Sid and an accomplice named Preston Dickens were arrested in Greensboro, North Carolina for counterfeiting coins. They were subsequently tried, and Sid, to no one's surprise, was found not guilty because of money, 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 money. While Dickens was found guilty and sentenced to 5 years.
Whoa.
That's a lot of hours in federal prison.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
However, shortly after, Sid was retried and this time found guilty of perjury and sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Okay.
But he immediately filed for and was granted an appeal.
Wow.
Yeah, you knew that.
Oh, yeah, I knew that was coming.
But all Floyd's previous skirmishes would pale in comparison to what was about to happen next. This is the seed that started to grow into the massacre at Hillsville courtroom.
Okay.
The whole point of our story tonight.
Okay.
And it all started with a kiss.
Oh.
Just a little kiss. The month was December, but accounts differ as the year. Oddly enough, it was either 1910 or 1911. You think that would be, clear cut, but I saw accounts of both.
Been a little bit.
Yeah. But it was definitely fall. And fall is the time of year that corn is harvested in that region, usually in October, November, and sometimes even into December. Now, there's a local tradition called a husking bee. Okay?
Okay.
Now, that is when large groups of folks would get together and make an event out of the arduous task of shucking the thousands of ears of corn that had recently been harvested.
That's kind of cool.
Shucking bees.
A little community helping everyone out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the men would all meet in the barn to shuck the corn while the women would meet up in the house to visit and cook the food for the event.
Is that where spelling bee comes from? It's just a bunch of kids getting together to spell words?
Can you use it in a sentence,
I don't
please?
know.
Like B-E-E?
I guess a bee is an event where everybody gets together and either shucks corn or spells words. There's no other bees, are there? A spelling bee and a husking bee.
Isn't there like an old thing called a bazaar or something like that where it's like a get together?
Yeah, like Harper's Bazaar.
So I wonder if it's like a short, like a bee and for like
maybe so.
So spelling bazaar?
That'd be hard to spell.
So the men would shuck the corn, the women would cook food and take it out there for the event. Outside, the kids would run around the recently harvested fields and play games. It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing.
Sounds cool.
The young men, like, late teens, early 20s, would also play games like who could shuck corn the fastest and who could shuck the most corn within a set amount of time. This was before TV. You had to find something to do, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like a wholesome activity.
But there was another game they played, a game that led to the kiss that would eventually lead to the Hillsville Massacre.
Uh-oh.
Every once in a while, an ear of corn would have a red patch on it, and this was known as a red ear. The rules of the game dictated that whoever was the first to find a red ear of corn would have the privilege of kissing any girl of his choosing before dinner.
Cool.
Okay? I don't know if the girl just had to go along with it. Like, if you just walk, I can imagine just walking up to some random girl. Hey, I got a red ear corn. You want to make out? I don't know. Like if they had to agree or maybe it was on the cheek.
Yeah, I would imagine she did. It's like their tradition thing.
I think it was. Yeah.
They're all sitting around waiting.
Damn. Jimmy found the red ear and he wants to kiss me and he's got gum disease. It's disgusting. He's the last guy I wanted. He's got gingivitis. He's got halitosis. He's up here trying to kiss me. Of all people. I was hoping Gary would find it.
Please don't let Cold Sore Davy find the red.
Cold Sore Davy.
It's going to cause an epidemic.
I would just have like a little red Sharpie in my pocket and like third ear in, I just color on it and be like, all right, Becky, pucker up, baby. I found it. You and me going to make out tonight. I would cheat like a crazy person. I would.
Now I'm wondering when Sharpies came out.
I don't think they were around in 1912.
I'm gonna find out. I'm an inquiring mind.
Okay, I would keep a little, what was red and what could you use other than a Sharpie back then? My stupid mind won't come up with it. Lipstick was around in 1912 for sure. I'd put a little lipstick on it. I got myself a red ear. The game was a tradition fairly ingrained in the local culture, and it seems as though the potential pool of girls at risk of being kissed were agreeable to the rules of the game. I feel bad for the girls, because
me too.
90% of the guys were probably just like buck-tooth hillbillies, just ass-breath buck-tooth hillbillies, and the girls were like, good Lord, there's no telling who's going to be kissing us.
Those are probably the ones that were like going through a ton of corn.
Yeah.
Gotta find it.
Let me get my first kiss.
1964.
Yeah, so they were 50 years old.
Sanford Ink Company.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're off. But we do know when
No, I know, but I was just wondering when Sharpies were in. I love Sharpies. They're a fine marker.
fine point, right?
Yeah, but I like the broad-tipped ones.
On this particular December evening, the husking bee took place in Hillsville and was attended by two of Floyd Allen's nephews, Wesley and Sidna Edwards. Not to be confused with Sidna Allen. It was different. Sidna Edwards, Sidna Allen. Allen was Floyd's brother. Sidna Edwards was his nephew, okay? As fate would have it, it was 20-year-old Wesley Edwards who found the first red ear of corn. And the girl he chose to kiss was currently being courted by a guy named Will Thomas. You kissing my girl, Wesley?
He did it on purpose, I bet.
You kissing my girl, Wesley?
He did it out of spite.
I'm sure he did. He probably locked eyes with Will Thomas as he went on his girl. You like that, Will? I just kissed your girl. Right?
It's part of the tradition, man. You live in the town, you gotta accept it.
And she loved it. I could tell she loved it. And Will was like, oh, you some bitch. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I picture it going down.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's kind of the way it went because you're about to tell us.
Yeah, because a whole shitload of stuff went down because of that.
All right.
Needless to say, Will did not appreciate his girl being kissed by Wesley Edwards. The following day was a Sunday. All the involved parties were attending a church service at Garland Allen's church. And yes, Garland Allen was another Allen brother of Floyd's. There were a ton of them.
Okay.
And he was also a minister sometimes. Anyways, Will called Wesley out of the service and challenged him to a fight out in the churchyard.
Okay.
So I guess right out of the church service. But when Wesley went outside, Will jumped on him with 3 friends. It was an ambush. Sid, who did not trust the situation, was keeping watch, and he rushed out to defend his brother. Now, to their credit, the pair, Sid and Wesley, fended off Will and the 3 others. But by that time, local police had arrived. Because there was a big old fight scrap in the churchyard.
Sure.
Although Wesley and Sidna did not start the fight, they had only defended themselves, very obviously. They were the ones indicted for disturbing a public worship service while Will and his friends were set free.
Wow.
When Wesley and Sidna heard there was a warrant out for their arrest, they fled Carroll County and headed south across the state line into the tiny town of Mount Airy, North Carolina. When Floyd Allen heard about the ordeal, he was furious. He was not only angry that his nephews had been charged, but equally angry that the other boys had not been charged, even though they started it.
Yeah.
He blamed Virginia Commonwealth attorney William Foster. So here's the deal, but they had a long feud, Foster. He was a Republican who had recently ran against and narrowly defeated another Allen family member. By the end of the race, the Allens and Fosters were staunch political rivals. So, Floyd looked at it immediately as he just let Will and those other boys go because, he has this vendetta against us.
Yeah.
And he charged my family members.
Which, I mean, he has some valid, I hate to defend that guy.
But I'd be upset too, right?
But
it's not fair.
I'm not going to defend what he's going to do next. I don't even know what that is, but I don't think it's going to be good.
Well, if Floyd was pissed off before, what happened next made it 10 times worse. Carroll County Sheriff Webb, despite his lack of jurisdiction in North Carolina, sent deputies Pink Samuels and Peter Easter over to Mount Airy, where they arrested Wesley and Sidna without struggle. Now, for whatever reasons, the deputies did not trust the boys to stay put in the back of the wagon, so they handcuffed and tied them to the wagon posts. Sidna Allen later wrote, and I quote, "Wesley and Sidna had never been in trouble before, were neither dangerous nor desperate, and were charged only with committing a misdemeanor, yet they were not only handcuffed but also tied to the buggy in which they rode with ropes, despite the fact that they were in the keeping of two strong and well-armed men." End quote. The road back to Hillsville crossed Fancy Gap, as well as Sidna Allen's store, and most importantly, it went right in front of Floyd Allen's house. When Floyd saw the wagon pass by his house with his nephews trussed up like hogs, as he later put it, he freaked the hell out.
Is that like TRUSSED?
You got it, trussed up. Yep.
Cool. Never heard that before.
That's what he said. He blew a gasket, brother. He was pissed. Well, I don't know why I like Beetlejuice. He really blew a gasket. He was really pissed off. What happened next depends on who you believe. According to the deputies, Floyd rode his horse out and blocked the road, after which he and several other Allen family members attacked them and set Wesley and Sidna free. Deputy Samuels claimed Floyd knocked him off his horse and beat him with his own pistol. He was left lying unconscious in the ditch. But according to Floyd, he simply walked out and asked the deputies, "Hey, could you please release my nephews?"
Yeah. Pardon me, sir. Yeah, right.
If it's not any trouble, could you please release these two men that you have in your stead? Not to be a bother.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, one of the deputies, Floyd claimed, attacked him.
Yeah. How dare you ask me nicely?
How about you, Floyd Allen, you son of a bitch? You frothy dog. He's like, I don't know why everybody has a British.
I started that, and I don't know why either, but I was thinking, trying to be super friendly and chipper and positive, and yeah, I can't do that in like a redneck voice.
I can't either. Pardon me.
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me. Could you please
I guess you can. That
what you got
works.
in your custody?
Sorry, we're nice in the South. I don't know why I couldn't do that. Yeah, it worked out.
Well, according to Floyd, this deputy just attacked him, right? And he was forced, Floyd said, to beat both deputies and disarm them.
I was forced to beat both of them.
Both of them. Whatever the case, the end result was both Wesley and Sidna leaving with Floyd as free men.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe probably the first.
Yeah.
Pardon me, sir. Would you mind pulling over your wagon and letting loose two nephews what you got in your stead? I hate to bother you. And then, why are you attacking me, you crazed deputy? Now I'll be forced to beat the shit out of you and the other deputy, disarm you, and free the men myself. Right?
You backed me into a corner where I had to break the law.
However, that freedom for the boys was temporary. Now, this part of the story, it legitimately surprised me. Despite how angry Floyd was about the charges, the following day, he took his nephews to the courthouse and turned them in. So it was weird. I think, honestly, he just did not like the way they were being transported. I think if they would have rode by just sitting in there, not cuffed to anything and just waving like, "Hey, Floyd," he would have been like, "You dumbasses." But it sounds like he just didn't like the way they were being tied up.
And also, you got to think there's something just for like sleeping on it and just like thinking, well, just because I took them doesn't mean they're just going to be free. I mean, they're going to bring people back to get them.
Yeah, they'll never.
So maybe it'd be better on me if I just take them back.
Yeah. Yeah, he took them both back, turned them in, and I can't remember which one did which, but one of them did 30 days and one of them did 60 in jail and work detail.
But nothing for him for Beating,
Well, no, we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
We'll get there. That was not the end of it.
Thank you for bringing them back.
Yeah, Floyd was arrested.
Okay, I figure, okay.
Yet again, and this time he was charged with assault and battery on Deputy Samuels, as well as the illegal rescue of prisoners. Turns out it had been Commonwealth Attorney William Foster, that Republican son of a bitch. Remember him?
Yeah.
The prominent Republican rival of the Democratic Allen family, who had called upon a grand jury to investigate the incident. This detail was not lost on Floyd Allen. After several continuances, his trial was set for March 13th, 1912.
Okay.
About 3 weeks before the trial was to start, William Foster received an anonymous letter in the mail promising his own death if Floyd Allen were to be found guilty. I'm getting more Ken McElroy vibes now.
Yeah.
Rattled, Foster took the letter to Judge Thornton Massey, remember these names, who was scheduled to try the case. Foster requested extra security in the courtroom as well as a search of anyone who entered the courtroom. Judge Massey denied the request, saying, quote, "I think that would show cowardice on our part." His decision would be a fateful one. He would go on to wish he really had made sure no one was armed in that courtroom. That would show cowardice for us to defend ourselves or to show any form of security. The trial of Floyd...
Be alive and be a coward. Or you can be a brave person in the cemetery.
Well, they were the latter, unfortunately.
Wow.
The trial of Floyd Allen began, and by the second day, March 13th, the jury was not able to reach a verdict. The following morning at 8:30, the jury filed in with a verdict, finally.
Wait, the verdict on...
This is for Floyd to charge him with, unlawfully freeing prisoners.
They couldn't reach a verdict on that? He even brought him back later.
Yeah,
Isn't that proof that he...
Yeah, and then he also beat the shit out of Samuels, yeah.
Man, it's hard to get the whole jury, but I know why, because it's just a bunch of people that are
paid off or
afraid
threatened
and paid
or
off.
Yeah. All the above.
I don't know whether we should count them guilty or not.
Well, so here's the deal. By that second day at 8:30 in the morning, the jury filed back in with a verdict. Okay, so I'm just going to read. I didn't want to rewrite this. The following is from a Roanoker.com article titled The Hillsville Massacre, written by Seth Williamson.
Okay.
This was directly from the... and it goes as follows. Floyd Allen, his attorney W.D. Bolin, and assistant clerk of court S. Floyd Landreth were sitting in the small fenced dock facing the judge and jury. Sidna Allen and Claude Allen were in the northeast corner of the courtroom, standing on benches to oversee the crowd. Friel Allen sat in the back of the courtroom, and the Edwards boys stood on benches next to the north wall. The sheriff, Commonwealth's attorney, clerk of court, and several deputies were standing at the south end of the courtroom. The room was hushed as the jury foreman announced the verdict, guilty as charged, with a recommendation sentence of 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine. A motion to set aside the verdict was denied, as for was a request for bail, so he was not getting out of this. Judge Massey instructed Sheriff Webb to take charge of the prisoner, and Webb began to move forward towards the dock. Okay? That's the scene.
Got it. I'm there.
Now, this is me talking and not the Roanoke.com. Most of the witnesses report that at this point, Floyd stood up and announced, "Gentlemen, I just ain't a-going." That's what he said.
No.
I said no.
It just sounds like a toddler throwing a tantrum.
I'm
Really?
not doing it.
Well, that's what this guy is.
Yeah.
Well, right after he said that, a shot rang out in the courtroom. Now, who first fired that shot is a topic of heated debate, kind of like the Star Wars thing, I guess.
Or who shot JR?
Or who shot JR? Yeah, Dallas. Yeah. So many claim that it was one of the Allen clan. And I would say that's probably a fair assessment.
Yeah. So people are thinking it was the other people that, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah, they've been shooting each other from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It was somebody mad. They got their way and then they shot. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Of course it was one of the Allen clan. Well, whoever it was, let's just pretend like, we don't know. That first shot was quickly followed by an explosion of gunfire throughout the courtroom. The Allens, Dexter Goad, William Foster, and all of the deputies pulled their pistols and began to exchange fire as well. The 100 spectators in attendance immediately began to scream and crawl over each other to escape the melee. Floyd, who had not participated in the exchange for once, was hit and fell on top of his attorney. The gunfight quickly moved out to the courthouse steps, where several members of the Allen clan hid behind a Confederate statue long enough to reload their pistols. However, by then the violence had stopped and most of the shooters had scattered. In just 90 seconds, 7 people were wounded and 4 were dead. Judge Massey, Attorney Foster, and a juror named C.C. Fowler. A witness in another case, Betty Ayers, that is, was also wounded, and she died the following day. So that's the 4 deaths. Floyd Allen was badly wounded, and his son, Victor, they got together and they fled to a local motel, but they were arrested the following day. This time, Floyd was too wounded to run. Wesley Edwards, Floyd Allen, and Sidney Allen, as well as Claude Allen, they all escaped together. They'd been the ones firing. According to Virginia law at the time, if a sheriff was killed, his deputies immediately lost all authority.
What?
Don't know why. Yeah. Isn't that weird? They would really need some authority.
How? Then what happens?
Well, in this case, assistant court
It becomes
clerk.
a lawless town?
Yeah. That's it.
I hate to laugh, but it just imagine like you're looking at your sheriff, he gets killed.
You're like, well,
And you're like, looks like I'm out of a job.
yeah. So you just lay down your gun and badge and walk off.
You can have it all, criminals. Yeah.
Don't shoot my way. I'm now an innocent bystander.
I just went from a lawman to a civilian.
That makes no sense.
Nope. But, okay, knowing this fact, Assistant Court Clerk S. Floyd Landreth sent the following telegram to Governor William Hodges' man, and it went as follows. Send troops to the county of Carroll at once. Mob violence. The court. Commonwealth's attorney. Sheriff. Some jurors and others shot on the conviction of Floyd Allen for a felony.
The only logic I can find in it, I'm sorry, you're mid-sentence, is they didn't want like a retribution kill.
But it's like, if the criminal knows that, though, they're like, hey, shoot the sheriff. If we kill the sheriff,
That's true.
the deputies can't
Yeah.
do nothing.
And then
Yeah.
they said, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't need to shoot the deputy because he was undeputized.
Yeah.
At the moment of the
No
sheriff's
need to shoot the deputy.
That's right. According to Virginia law in 1912. That's it, man. They knew it. The telegraph went the rest of it went as follows. Sheriff and Commonwealth's attorney dead. Court serious. Look after this now. Okay.
Wow.
Governor Mann enlisted the Baldwin Felts Detective Agency in Roanoke to come flush out the Allens and bring them to justice. This was 1912, so I guess that was their options, you know?
Sure.
But that would not be an easy task. Sidney Edwards turned himself in after just a few days, but the rest of the family were not going to go so easily. The Allen family had lived in the area for 100 years, and they knew every creek, valley, pond, gully, and mountain like the back of their hand. Claude Allen was the first to be captured. Not long after, Floyd Allen was turned in by his father, Jack, who had negotiated his son's capture to avoid the death penalty. That left Wesley Edwards and Sidney Allen, who proved to be extremely difficult to locate in the surrounding mountain terrain. After 5 weeks of hiding out in the hills, the men fled through Mount Airy and wound up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. There, they bought train tickets to Asheville, and from Asheville, they traveled to Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
There, they secured jobs as carpenters and hunkered down to start a new life.
Yeah.
They were in it for the long haul. But that life on the run was going to be short-lived. Just 6 months to the day after the massacre at Hillsville Courthouse, both Wesley and Sidney were finally located and arrested. Most agree the way that they were found was through Wesley's girlfriend, Maud Iroller, I-R-O-L-L-E-R. She was the real bitch. Iroller. Whatever. She was just like, please. Where do you want to go? I don't even care. You're so stupid. Will you tell us where your boyfriend is? I guess. I just see her just
He's so lame anyway. I don't even care.
Well, he had been dating this girl. I'm just going to call her Maud. And he had actually kept in contact with her on the run, which was probably a bad decision. Obviously it was.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Because her dad became aware of their correspondence, and he found out that she had made plans to run off to Des Moines and marry Wesley. So he turned them in. Charged with the slaying of Commonwealth's attorney Foster, Floyd Allen went on trial in Wytheville on April 30th. On May 18th, he was convicted and sentenced to death in the electric chair. 1 hour in the electric chair.
1 hour in the electric chair.
2 months later, Claude Allen was also sentenced to death. Floyd Allen was tried in August and confessed to shooting Foster and was sentenced to 18 years in prison. Sidna Allen and Wesley Edwards were sentenced in November to 35 and 27 years, respectively. Back then, people didn't sit on death row for 25 years like they do today. Less than a year later, and exactly a year since the trial, on March 13th, 1913, at 1:22 p.m., Floyd Allen was executed in the electric chair. 11 minutes later, his son Claude met the same fate. The pair became the 47th and 48th people to be killed by Virginia's electric chair.
I bet that's a record. I bet that hasn't ever happened again, like a father-son duo.
Right? And 11 minutes from each other?
Yeah.
Damn. Like, that's wild. Their bodies were taken to the Biles Funeral Home, where they were placed on display for thousands of curious onlookers. By the way, in the months leading up to the Allens' executions, tens of thousands of signatures had been gathered in an attempt to spare their lives, but the governor wasn't having it. I think they were happy just to get rid of the Allen clan finally. Like, they looked at it as, we're killing half of them, we're putting the other half in jail for the rest of their lives. Good riddance,
Yeah.
Well, today, more than 100 years later, most agree that it was Claude Allen that fired the first shot. There's a theory that Dexter Goad fired the first shot, but that doesn't make much sense. Dexter was a prominent local official and a rival of Floyd Allen, who had just been sentenced to prison. Why would he shoot up the court when the jury had just went his way,
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Unless.
Isn't it possible?
It'd have to be it's real methodical. Like you just shoot in a direction that it's not going to, like secretly, because those other guys are packing.
Ooh.
Just to instigate it. But surely he wouldn't innocent people.
You're saying otherwise. Look, it did go their way because if not a shot had been fired, if nary a shot had been fired, Floyd would have went to jail for a year. Let's be honest, he would have been out in 3 months.
Yeah.
And then things would have went on as normal. But by the shootout happening, he went to the electric chair, as did his son. And then several of the family members went to prison forever.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that, but that's just some kind of crazy thing that popped in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's most probable that the Wild West trigger-happy Allen family indeed fired the first shot that started the melee. But, maybe we'll never know, even though I'm going to go with that. That sounds right.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, that's it, man. That is the story of the Hillsville Massacre.
Just like the McFadden thing and the McElroy, they should have went down earlier for another offense.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of stuff was let to happen. No one was punished adequately.
Right.
So therefore it got to the point where innocent people had to die. That other girl that was in there for another thing.
Oh yeah, Betty. Ayers or whatever her name was. I wish that they would just be more out in the open with it. When money. I know, Your Honor, I understand that my client has been charged with these offenses, but here's $10,000. I wish they would just do that right out in the open. And the judge understood. Let him loose.
Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds? On the grounds I'm going to give you money in a minute. After this is over. Oh, okay. Sustained.
Yeah. How much exactly? All right. Would it be enough? I owe $22,000 on my house. All right. Okay. Cool. We'll do it. Yeah. But no, it's got backroom deals, I guess.
Yeah. And fear and money.
But money. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, y'all, that's it for us tonight. Yet another episode down, 347, I believe. No, 348.
348.
Man, there's been so many, you just lose count.
That's right.
But we hope you enjoyed yourselves as much as we did.
Good one, Joe.
Yep. Thank y'all. Good night.
Let me tell you about some fellas I know, named Ivan, Sam, and Joe. They got themselves a little podcast, And they talk about everything under the sun that they find interesting, spooky, or fun. And they sure ain't trying to impress no one. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of Mantis. They talk about killers, monsters, and cults, French maids from hell, disappeared folks. Occasionally throw in a few dad jokes. They try to make every story extra nice by adding their own ginger spice. Not one time or two, but thrice. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of manatee. Now I'm sure these fellas will be around for quite a spell, 'cause there sure ain't no shortage of stories to tell, 'cause this old world's as weird as hell. But hell, even if nobody listened, you know they'd maintain a fine disposition, 'cause shooting the breeze is kind of their mission. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the dawn of manatee. The remedy to too much time on your hands is take a little listen to the